Hi, this is a Minute of Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this week I want to talk about how apps are an investment. Okay, when you're first starting out in app development, it's really easy to start getting involved in the fun of creating an app. And it is fun. It's a lot of fun to create an app or a game. You know, that's the reason why a lot of us do it, is because we get to exercise our creativity, put something out there, and people use it, and it's a lot of fun. Now, when you start doing it professionally and start looking at it in terms of cash flow, you know, like I need to make money off of this, otherwise, you know, it's not worth doing, then, you know, apps don't just become something that's fun, they become an investment. So every time you spend your time or your money on an application, you have to start looking at it as an investment. So an investment, you have to look at, you know, how much time you're going to spend, how much money you're going to spend, you know, what is a likelihood of return, and increasingly the app market is a high risk investment. So the more money and the more time you spend, you know, the higher that risk becomes. So the reason I bring this up is I was talking with a developer earlier, and we were talking about a concept for a game, and I kind of had some ideas, he had some ideas, and we sort of were putting things together, but we couldn't quite make the vision go. Like, he had some ideas, I had some ideas, and you know, and what we needed to do was sit down and put together a specification, but I didn't have time to do it, and he didn't have time to do it. So in the end, I passed on it, and you know, he was a little bit upset, but I had to say, you know, for me, this is an investment. You know, I have to decide whether or not I want to spend my money on you developing this and spend my, you know, and my time and everything involved in this, whereas I can't quite see the final picture, right? So it's much different than if I'm just going to sit down and like spend a weekend and I'm just going to throw some code together and put it on the App Store and see what happens. When you're actually putting your time and resources into something, you have to start looking at it as an investment. And there's safe investments and there's unsafe investments. And this is something that I notice when we do client work. So we'll get a call from a client, I'll go out and visit them, or we'll talk on the phone, and it might be like a really good idea, but there's a lot riding on that investment. Like sometimes they'll say, you know, they'll take out a loan, or they'll say, you know, I have to make this work because I'm spending my life savings on it. And to be honest with you, I won't touch that. That's too high risk. It's too high risk for me, and I don't want to be a part of it, because, you know, they're putting too much into it, and it's going to be stressed the whole way through. And there's sometimes where people, they say, you know, hey, I just want to do something quick and simple, and it's you know, I have a few £1,000s to spare, and I just want to, you know, put something out there and see how it does. Then that's a little bit more, a bit more palatable, because then you can say, okay, yeah, we could do that, and then, you know, if something changes, we could do this, if something, and we have a lot more flexibility, rather than, you know, oh, please make this work, otherwise, you know, I'm in big trouble, right? So with Overpass, you know, we make money from the apps, so the apps go onto the app market, and every time we put a new one out there, it's either going to have to be something we're sure is going to work, and I tell you, that's never happened. I've never been sure something's going to work. You know, more often, you know, we fail more often than we succeed, but we'll put things out there all the time. We put new language games out, like, you know, well, every week or every few weeks, and we'll put new things. A lot of times it is a case of, you know, if it's low risk, like, you know, we can put this together really quickly. You know, I don't believe in spending 6 months on an app ever, right? I don't believe in spending, you know, a year on an app. You know, that's too high risk for me. I want to get something on the app market and see if it starts to gel a little bit, start getting some feedback, and going forward, you know, even sooner, and especially if I'm hiring developers to do it, right? So even with our developers on our team, you know, we'll put together some ideas, and I'll say, how long will this take? And they might say, I think this will take, like, you know, 2 months, or, you know, 3 weeks or whatever. And then I have to make the decision whether or not that's worth our time actually doing, or if we go with something that's a bit simpler, or just something that gets out onto the market a lot faster. So it's I was reading something recently about vending machines, right? When I was like 20 years old, I thought it would be really cool to get like a vending machine. I don't know why. You know, I think I saw it in a magazine, and I thought that was like the ideal job. I was in the Army, and I thought, what if I just bought a vending machine, and then saved up more money, bought another vending machine? And I thought you would just buy a vending machine and put it, like, you know, in a shop or something, and then you just fill it up and collect the money. And I was reading something about it recently, because I have a bit of money to invest, and I was like looking, yeah, can I do, you know, vending machines? And it turns out there's all kinds of overheads. You know, you got the cost of the product, but you also got, like, you have to pay, you know, people who own buildings and stuff to put your vending machines there. And it said you actually have to have a lot of vending machines, because a vending machine usually makes about 20 pounds a month. And I was like, wow, 20 pounds a month. I mean, the apps make more than that, right? So if you have an app where you spend, you know, a few weeks working on and it makes you 10 pounds a month, then fantastic. If you have one that you spend, so let's say you have one you spend 2 weeks working on and it makes you 5 pounds a month for the next, 5 years, right? Then that's going to be a better investment than, if you make something and you're hoping for that first launch, or you spend, the next 2 years working on your big idea and you're praying that nobody comes out with it before you. So anyway, that was it. There was just more of a thought this week. Is and when you start thinking apps in a business sense, then you have to start thinking strategically, and you have to start thinking of them as an investment, right? It's when you start hiring other people to help out, then you really need to start thinking about that. You think, how is this person going to help in terms of getting the noticeability of that app up, and how is this person going to help with the marketing or with the code or whatever. So everything is numbers at some level, even if we don't always think about it that way. Anyway, that was okay, right? That was all right this week. Today is Veterans Day in the US. Just to say happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans. And that's it for this week. Please like and subscribe to the channel. What else is there? Say gnarly or boo or whatever. And follow on Snapchat. And that's it. I'll talk to you next week.